Hey guys, Bobby Bollinger here, and Survivors is back. I got the book, I read it, and what did I get out of it? Well, it's Breeze still. It is most definitely Breeze. Before I get into that, though, I'm gonna do some explanations on building up why that is. Starting off this whole thing, we have Bruno's death. Now, the moment Bruno apologized, I just thought, he's gonna die, isn't he? And lo and behold, he died. And the whole how he died basically confirms that the killer was from Twitch's pack. Or at least was in that battle, because no one talked about how Terror had his jaw just ripped off of his face to the wild pack. That was something you could only know if you were there. And that just severely slashes our number of possible suspects to just Twitch's pack, Lucky, Bella, and all the others that were there. And also in her dream, we hear someone say, before it happens, we hear Whisper telling Storm, look back in your past. Well, there's the fierce dog thing, which is what she's assuming. And what she didn't think about was the whole terror thing, which clearly came back to bite Bruno. And it shows that there is a lot of anger in the dog that took Bruno out, because it takes a lot of strength, usually, or just a lot of determination, to rip or gnaw out a dog's jaw, and quite a bit of brutality to just rip the throat. And it shows that, whoever it is happens to be pretty mad with Storm to use that exact style, purposefully ripping out the jaw after he had died, just to send a message to Storm. Pretty much confirms that yes, they do not want Storm around, and this is about Storm. We could kinda see that coming from what happened to Whisper, but right here pretty much confirms that it is all about Storm. That, and she's the main character of the book. Next thing I wanted to talk about is the victim connection. This was made early on in Red Moon Rising, that Storm thought the main targets of this attack were Whisper, Moon, Bella, and Twitch. This before Bruno died. And what I noticed there is that, for one, every single one of those dogs was at the fight when Terror died. Whisper was there, he was in the pack. Moon was there, she was trying to rescue Fiery. Bella was there for the same reason. Twitch was there, rescuing Fiery. So the main dogs that the author wanted us to think about and had Storm think about were all in that battle that clearly is important to the killer. Another thing that I noticed, though, is that every single one of these dogs has at some point been or wanted to be in a relationship, minus Twitch, as far as we know. Like Whisper, he was trying to get it on with Storm. Moon, she had Fiery. Bella, she has Arrow. And it just makes me think, Ah, there's so much potential in that. I don't know if Aaron Hunter, whichever Aaron Hunter is writing these things, is going to roll with it. I really hope they do, because it has a lot of potential into the psychology of the killer, but I don't exactly expect that. It just seems a little too advanced a level for what we're used to from Survivors. With Survivors, the closest we get to psychology of a killer is maybe Blade lost her pups. And that's about as advanced as it has gotten so far. Not to say it couldn't happen in the future, and I hope it does, because I want to crack open that mind. And I say besides twits, and that can disqualify this if A, but the thing is, A, we don't exactly know everything about Twits. Like, he doesn't seem like the dog to hide something exactly, but we don't know for sure. And also, I'd like to note that what happened to Twits was an accident. Like, he has been hit by nothing except that glass in the mouth. And you might be thinking, well, yes, he was targeted. But no. What happened was the dog put glass in a deer carcass that somebody was going to eat. There was no guarantee that Twits bites onto that specific part of the deer. In fact, the most likely person to bite into that part of the deer, if you were to say put it in the optimal place in your opinion, would be the first dogs to eat, which would be Alpha and Lucky, who are in a relationship, I think. So I still think there is a possibility that this is not just about Storm, though it pretty clearly is, but could also be about some sort of messed up relationship, like thoughts, ideas, or history. Whatever is going on in the killer's mind, it involves love and is very messed up. I think that is a distinct possibility. Now, this doesn't really have anything to do with the killer, but I'd like to note Beetle and Thorn in this book, because I think we could all see this coming. Like, they're clearly dogs with a lot of anger, but no real clue what the heck they're doing, which is kind of typical of young people in stories. And it became clear to me immediately what the practice was, partially because I was expecting it. But when they had themselves getting up on two legs and telling the other one to go low and knock it over, pretty clear what that was supposed to be. They were trying to take out Lawn Paws and were trying to figure out how to fight and probably kill Lawn Paws, because they're a little young and irrational. Maybe. But it also makes me a little concerned what their future holds, because when Thorn got her name, Lucky just felt this weird sensation go through him that there was more to her than meets the eye. And it was made a pretty big deal of it. And as of right now, what happened in Red Moon Rising with them is the only payoff we have ever gotten to that. And while it is payoff, it was not worth it. That much build up for that? Like, in comparison to what's happened in the Survivor series, that's a minor inconvenience. So, there has to be something more with them, and it does appear that Thorn's not exactly done. Beetle, he's just being strung along by his sister because he's his sister. So I don't think he has any real malice in him. But Thorn, there's something up with Thorn, and it makes me kind of concerned about where they're heading, because the natural progression of your ideas are, I want to hurt them. I can't hurt them. I can't hurt the grown ones. I can hurt the young ones. So I just have this feeling that Thorn's gonna end up attacking a Lawn Paw child, which is gonna cause so much crap for the pack. Like, C does not understand what attacking a Lawn Paw period would mean, and attacking a child would pretty much end that pack in that location, at least. Like, it would be a major disaster, and C doesn't realize it would be that bad. I don't think really anyone does realize it would be that bad. They realize it would be bad. Lucky knows it would be bad. I don't think he knows how bad. Like, this could be a mass wipeout. So Thorn, hold yourself back for as long as you can. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. And, okay, after that, I want to talk about Storm's dreams. First of all, I want to say, dreams do not mean it is happening or will happen. In the Survivor series, they are almost all metaphors. Like, when you look back at Lucky's dreams, in The War of Dogs, The Great Storm, or whatever, did a mother actually attack her child like was in the dream? No, that didn't happen at all. In any shape or form. So what was that about? Was it an oversight on the writers? And when Terror and Blade fought, they didn't actually fight. There was never, ever glass actually raining down from the sky. So why have that in there? What does that even mean? What is the point? Well, the point is that they're metaphors for what the character is feeling. With Lucky in the Terror and Blade fight, he's basically going over in his mind, which am I scared of more? And there's no conclusion to the fight because he doesn't reach a conclusion ever. The glass raining down? A little more ambiguous, but probably I cannot escape danger, no matter where I go. So that's what that means. And with Storm's dreams, it's much the same. The fear dog creeping through all the other dogs. It doesn't mean there's an actual fear dog. It means that everyone is being affected by fear and are doing things they otherwise wouldn't. And in that way, fear dog has infected the pack. Also, when Whisper says in her dreams, you have to look back, everyone kind of does that when they go into this mystery mode. They think, what's in the past that can affect this? I mean, that's what solving these cases is all about. What happened is in the past, so you have to look in the past. And for Storm, this just so happens to be especially true. She's trying to solve this, so she has to look back. Naturally, that's gonna invade her dream. And, as we know, it just happens to be a bit more literal for her. And I'd also like to note that the resurgence of these dreams, what caused it, could actually be very interesting. Very, very interesting, because why did these dreams start up again after they were taken care of? And I think the reason is, especially with her last dream, that she's kind of being coerced, almost controlled in her sleep. By which I mean, in her sleep, she can still kind of hear when a dog whispers or talks in her ear. So if someone wants to set her up and, say, scare the living crap out of a pup by making it fear for its life and having it hide down by the beach, if they whisper correctly, know that she can be influenced, they can mess her up. They can make her do that. So I think that's basically what that last dream was, and I think that's what the resurgence in dreams was. The final dream was the final product, what the killer was finally going for, while all the others were basically just trials, test runs, if you will, seeing how much they can manipulate her. Okay. And with this book, it basically throws out all the possibility of it being an outsider, and I kind of doubt the old beta's involved anymore. This seems to be far too personal and far too involved with Storm as the target for her to even really be an option. If old beta was involved, the target would be Sweet. That would be the target, not Storm. So, why Breeze? We've seen kind of what might be going through her mind recently. Just trying to manipulate Storm. Maybe she has a bad mind of love, bad past of love, whatever. But why I think this confirms her guilt? Well, the very first thing is what happened to Moon in this book. She went through quite a bit, but what especially happened to her was falling in a pit while chasing a rabbit. It just, obviously, it was done on purpose, and a dog came in and pushed rocks on her. And then Storm was the second dog to find her, and then everyone else came behind, including Breeze. But when you look back on that, her and Breeze were... Everyone was split in pairs. Moon and Breeze were one of those pairs. So I have to ask, why did Breeze not get there before Storm? I mean, she's much closer. She's a fast enough dog. She's clearly trusted to hunt rabbits. So why wasn't she there first? And the answer is, she was. Obviously, if I think Breeze is the killer, then, and if she's the one who should get there first, then she's the one who pushed the rocks down. Next thing up is the fox and Bruno's killing. Yes, the fox, we trust it because we have Storm's perspective, so we're made to trust it on that merit. But on just a logical merit, that fox had no reason to lie about Bruno's death. Now, about not seeing anything for when Breeze was dragged and somehow didn't see who was dragging her, that she has reason to lie about. She's trying to get out of that situation. But then she brings up seeing the dog that killed Bruno without any prompting. She just does it. And she confirms that it's a dog bigger than Daisy, but not by much. And as Storm later thinks, it makes sense. You don't need to be too big to rip out a dog's throat. Although I will say realistically, there's going to be a lot of fur between that small dog in Bruno's throat, so they might have messed up realism a bit. But sticking with what the book says, it wouldn't have been hard for even a somewhat small dog to rip out Bruno's throat. And from there, it's just gnawing off the jaw, and gnawing meat is not that difficult. They do it every day. Sorry. So, it is very much possible for a dog that's only a little bit bigger than Daisy to take down Bruno. Especially because he has zero suspicions of a smaller dog. No one did up until this point. So, because that fox has no reason to lie about it, we kind of have to assume it to be true. And I'll look through the list of names in this thing just to see if there's any dog that would only be a little bit bigger than Daisy, and I'll see just how many there actually are. Hunters, there is... we never get a really good size on how big Snap is. Like, is he a small dog? Is he a normal-sized dog? We really don't know. I've come to assume that he's smaller than Mickey, but not by a ton. I think he does fit in this category, so according to the Fox, Snap is on the board. And let's see, who else? It said it was bigger than Daisy, and I'm going to trust that and put Daisy off the board. Also, let's face it, it wasn't Daisy. Next up is Chase. We don't exactly know her size. So yes, Chase is a possibility, and since we pretty much know they were at the battle, that actually eliminates Snap and brings Chase back on. Next up is, I assume Sunshine is smaller than Daisy. Who knows? Maybe Sunshine killed him. And from there, it's just Breeze as well. So basically, it's between Chase and Breeze. And the killer will have some character development. So Chase, who even now with this limited cast after the others left, has gotten nothing. He just kind of exists in the same way Spreen did, which, by the way, is not a good sign for her health. I have to assume it's Breeze, because she's the only one of those two to get any kind of character development. So I'm going to have to say from that it's going to be Breeze. And yes, I will continue with pups and romance are still factors, because one of Breeze's big things is the pups, and if she's got a messed up version of love or messed up history of love or lost pups in her past, her being fond of those pups makes sense. And in fact, maybe getting rid of Alpha and Lucky, maybe she thinks eventually something will happen for her there where she gets some. At this point, if Lucky and Sweet were to just die right there, it probably would be Breeze taking in those pups. So she's gotten herself in a position where, if that is her goal, she's going to act on it. And she's going to act on it somewhat soon. Well, maybe not. Maybe not soon. I still think this is mostly about Storm. I really want to see what happens if this is about pups and romance, but I'm pretty sure it's just about Storm. And also, her behavior has continued to perplex. It is just so weird. Sometimes she will be so friendly, and then she'll just be angry and mean and nasty, and that showed up in the first book, it's showing up here. Like, I have to wonder, is she the same dog all the time? Like, does she actually have multiple personality disorder, which I know is called something else now, but does she have that? Because it would explain a lot, like why her personality changes so suddenly for us, and why she can seem so nice and so helpful at most parts of the book, and then just fly off the handle at others, and maybe even kill dogs. And the last thing I want to note about why I'm pretty sure it's Breeze is she talked to Storm and suggested leaving the pack about less than 24 hours before something happened that would make Storm leave the pack. Like, I see that and I just think, how can that ever be a coincidence? And like I've also said already, the dream uptick might just be someone suggesting for her to walk around. So Breeze has that conversation, then creates the situation that would make Storm leave the pack, and then Storm leaves, and Breeze, or whoever the killer is, gets their way. Now, is that their ultimate goal? Because that just seems a little soon for the villain to achieve their ultimate goal, like book 4 of 6. Seems a little quick to the punch. And I just don't know if that is her final goal. Like, I think this is about Storm, but if this is about Storm, where does it go from here? Like, yeah, Storm's going off somewhere where she will have no way of learning anything about the murders for at least one book, which leaves us only one more book to put all of these pieces together, maybe, if she's even coming back to the pack at that point. And it just feels weird. Like, there has to be something else. Like, I don't think this is the last week of this killer's presence. While Storm, I think, is the main goal, I'm pretty sure there's something else. And at, like, the end of book 5, or, well, yeah, at the end of book 5 would pretty much be the only place for it, is when we're gonna hear about that. So, that's it for the video. Went a little long. Just got back from a radio station, so my vocal cords are a little stressed out. I'll be back later with another Survivors video, because I am committing to that over the summer at least. And I'll see you guys later. G'day.